Man. Hello to anyone that's coming on. I don't think anyone's here yet. Usually people hop on a few minutes later. But also my stream manager's always like off on when people get on here. So I'll just sit and wait. Hello. We're just waiting a few more minutes for more people to show up. Oh, hi. Oh, I like that little emoji thing. I've done like nothing this week, even though my classes started. I only have 2 classes that like meet in person or like on Zoom. So I've done like literally like it feels like nothing this whole week. So that's fun. I'm taking 3 theater classes just because I have nothing else to do. Other than that, it's just random classes that I need to fill stuff in. Hope that you guys this week have been good. Oh my god. Of course, my roommate's cat comes in and opens the door all the way because she's so big. I'll be right back. I'll start in like 2-3 minutes. Usually people pile in at like 8-10, or at least that's when like the viewer count on my stream manager kind of kicks in, I guess. Yep. This class is gonna be very like I'm gonna show a video. I'm gonna show like some things, and some resources, and talk a little bit about writing dialogue. But then we're just gonna chill and write. I'll have one script that I'll be writing. I think it'll be that one. It's my Gravity Falls spec script, because like usually when you get into television or like wanting to get into television, you have like one original script or like a few, and then you have like some scripts of like writing in someone else's style or like telling someone else's story. And so I chose Gravity Falls, mainly because I felt like it was like more towards my humor and like pace. I haven't watched an episode of it in so long. So honestly, I don't know if my like things. Yeah. Well, it doesn't have to be for shows that are still on air. It can be for any like show. I think it's easier to do it for a show that's not on air. especially if you're trying to get into um, a, studio that's already airing or like showing that TV show, then they can't use that script idea if they don't hire you, like they get into legal situations. So, like if you say you go to, like, I don't know, DreamWorks, and you go, oh, I really want to write, I'm writing trying to think of a DreamWorks show that's on right now. I don't know, a Trolls script. Then you send it in when you're like applying or you're like interviewing, and then they're like, oh, this is a troll script. I can't. What if like I don't know, like they can't use those ideas, and if they decide to do something similar to it, then you can be like, oh no, that's my script. Also, I noticed that I spelled writing wrong on my thing. I spelled script ring. So you can see what kind of state I am this week. I'm just like out of it a little bit. Last week I was home, and all I did was like write and draw because it was like a week without any classes finally. So I guess we can get started. So this is class 6, which, still crazy that I'm still doing this. I still can't believe that I am doing it. But I'll keep going until I run out of things or I get too busy or, even if it's just me talking to myself on Twitch, So here are some resources. We're going to just get into it. So I forgot to actually open up the links. So I can get into it. Okay. So, I've been watching this YouTube channel for a while. It's called Characters Welcome, and you probably like heard of it. You've probably seen it before. Like, it's not a new thing. But I find the channel really interesting and like fun, especially for someone who like is writing, and especially someone because like usually going to television, especially in animation, you're going to be writing more comedic scenes and very like characterized, just like characters, and they just have like little tiny skits of just like one person shows and like sketches of like very like particular characters. And so like you have like Reverse Mermaid sings Part of Your World, or like let me see, what was another one that I liked? One of my favorites was, they're doing Zoom things now. I haven't watched any of those. But one of my favorites was one where it was like that one song that nobody likes to listen to in a musical, and it's like the old man that sings about his life, and you're like, God, I don't care. This isn't, no, and it's like the slow song. Yeah, like the song in every musical that nobody likes. The freshman roommate who's obsessed with Japan. This one was funny. Like 2 trench coats and a kid. I wouldn't show them. Oh, it's called Characters Welcome. I would show some, but I would rather you just watch them. I don't want them like on Twitch or on my channel, because these are more, small time performers, and so you can find the ones that you like here. Some of them are a little bit crude. Some of them are like, some of them could be a little bit inappropriate. It's more like Comedy Central kind of humor. Some of them I'm just like, not into, but I like a lot of them. And it's just good to like, especially if you're getting into comedy kind of stuff and like comedic writing, to just, see how other people are exaggerating themselves and, and just watching comedy, obviously like seeing other people be funny, can make you realize, oh, this is what I find funny, and this is how I want to write funny, And then I have, this is, let me click on it. So this is a blog post, and it's white authors writing POC, or people of color, and it just talks about, I went over it earlier today, and it's just important, for, white writers such as myself who, may want to write more diverse characters and people of color as their main characters or in their cast, to understand that if you do want to do that, you need to take time to really understand it, and also to highlight other authors of color and writers of color, because they don't have the space, and so it isn't really like our place to be writing them. But if you are, make sure you are understanding of them. You're researching, especially if you're trying to take from specific culture, and like stuff like that. Because I know because I know I want the stuff that I write and the stuff that I create to be more I'm losing my voice. So, what I was saying after I was losing my voice, I know that I would want, if I was ever creating something or writing something, to have a co-author, someone running the show, or something that was a person of color who has direct, relatability with the characters that are being shown and the culture that's being presented, because I know I can't do it justice, and also because it's way more authentic to come from someone who actually has lived these characters' lives almost. So take a look at it. Then this one, I forget what this one is. This is for dialogue. So we're gonna go into writing dialogue, and I wanted to touch on this because I know a lot of people, that's one of the big things, especially with screenwriting, is how do you write dialogue, and how do you make it interesting, and how do you make it authentic, or how do you make it good? And I mean, there's no secret potion, obviously, like I've said before, but you could write the most authentic, what you think is most authentic to your knowledge, and typing it down, and then you read it out loud and it sounds terrible or clunky, or I've even read scripts where it's totally I'm looking at the dialogue, this is so cheesy, no one would say this, why would you write this? No. I remember in my script analysis class, we analyzed what was it? Oh, Jennifer's Body, the script. I haven't seen the movie, but I have read the script for it, and it was just I'm not a big fan of that kind of genre of movie, but the dialogue written down, it was so cheesy, and I love the writer, she's awesome, and she's written some good stuff, but it was it was just, I don't know, it was just very, I didn't like it personally, but I guess that was what it was going for, was a cheesier, stereotypical teen, trying to be more exaggerated, but I just didn't reading it. But obviously, if I watched the movie, it would probably come off way different. So we're gonna just watch a few videos and read through a masterclass article on it, just to to touch on it.
We have a question from our store in Stockholm, and they want to know if you have any tips on how to write better dialogue, and if you have some authors that are favorites with just dialogue.
Yeah, writing dialogue is something that Hollywood really helps me with. When you write a script, it has a different format. It's easily researched. If any of you are interested, just buy any good reference book on screenwriting, and you'll see the the format. And the dialogue is presented in blocks with much narrower margins. And an experienced screenwriter, as I discovered when I went to Hollywood in 85 and 86 to work on Twilight Zone, they don't even read the dialogue, they just look through. And if they see large blocks of dialogue, someone giving a long speech, they know it's not going to work. This is not Shakespeare where we want characters delivering soliloquies for 2 pages. They want to see short dialogue, a line or two, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's the kind of dialogue that tends to work. The other key to dialogue is reading it aloud. So I'm about to give a reading, I'll be doing that here. When you read your work aloud, you hear the speeches that work, the speeches that don't work. You can get a good feeling for that. So something sometimes looks good on a page, but you actually try to deliver a line and it stumbles.
So that's George.
My name is Marcus
Martin. And I haven't read any of his books. But he but yeah, like you wanna, like when you're writing, always like speak it out. Like that's an important part of it. Because sometimes in your head it sounds good, and then sometimes out loud it doesn't. But here is a masterclass on writing dialogue. And I think these articles, I think I talked about it in the last one, these articles for masterclass are like so good. I've used them for almost all the classes I've done. Like sure, there's probably some psychological thing of like listening to Shonda Rhimes tell you how to write for television. And I'm sure there's probably like some secret stuff she like says in her classes, but like I don't feel like spending $100 when I could read for free, you know. But now you get to listen to me say the same things to you. Won't be as good as Shonda Rhimes, but I am free. So dialogue is important for a screenplay because, you know, it helps express a character's point of view, to understand like personal dynamics between 2 or more characters. And it's how, you know, we express ourselves like in real life. Like sure, there's silent films, but like they're still missing the element of actual communication that we go through as people and humans. And so like dialogue can help convey like the mood of the tone, like the mood and the tone of the story, and it can help bring humor, you know, with like quippy, clever dialogue or whatever. Or it can like reveal like plot twists. It can reveal plot points. It can reveal backstory. Like, of course, you don't want to just reveal everything in dialogue because that's just boring. But I still think like use dialogue for it if you want to, but don't overuse it. So there's of course like the difference between writing for TV dialogue and then prose is that you don't have to use tags. So obviously, like you don't say he said or she said. The punctuations are a little bit different, and the formatting, which we've gone over before. This would be the formatting, basically. So how do you write better dialogue? So learn from real life. The first day of my class, my screenwriting class, my teacher told us that our first assignment was that he wanted us to listen on a conversation in real life and like go out and just like sit and listen. Unfortunately, like back then I was in Chicago and I wasn't just gonna sit out somewhere by myself. And usually when I'm outside like walking, I just have my headphones in, and so I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, who was I gonna like listen on to? And so I took dialogue from my roommates who were talking about like, I don't know, lactose intolerance or something, and like milk. And so, like, I think it's really important to just listen to people talk, even if it's you and your friends, like your mom on the phone. I think it's really important to also listen to, like, since we're not going outside much, and, like, you can't go into a coffee shop or into your, like, school cafeteria and just listen. I think it's important, like podcasts can be really good, or, like, especially with two people and not, like, scripted. Just, like, two friends, like, bickering, bantering off of each other, or, like, even YouTube videos like that. I also think documentaries can be helpful, because usually, like, these are people that just, like, kind of are talking and telling their story to someone. And usually it's more dramatic and more emotional. Also, if you're looking for more comedic dialogue, like, watch a comedy show on, like, Netflix. I like Hannibal Buress because he's way, like, natural, and he just, like, sounds like he's just saying it, like, it's just, like, a natural thing to say. And so, like, just, like, listen, it's, like, we, as, like, writers and even as animators, artists, whatever, we're just onlookers and observers, and observing, and, like, human life, and just transforming it into words or images and translating it in a different way. So make sure you're just paying attention to people, I guess. And subtext is important. You want to make sure that, like, you know, like, in real life, people don't always say their true inner thoughts. Like, when someone gives me, like, say I'm going to, like, Starbucks and they give me the wrong drink, I'm not gonna go, you gave me the wrong drink. I'm not that type of person. I'm gonna be the person that, you know, goes, oh, thanks, and then leaves. But, like, usually through, like, saying, like a sad thanks, I don't know, like, usually subtext comes through a lot with acting, but you can find a way to make your words sound more, like, passive aggressive, and, like, hidden, like, you can structure your sentences in a way. And I'll be showing us a video kind of on that. And cut to the chase. You don't want to be writing long blocks of text. It's boring, because like, motion picture, like, film and television are meant, like, they're visual formats, so you don't want to just hear someone talk all the time. It's why I don't like narrators as much in movies and stuff. I'm like, come on, like, you can just show me this. Like, I understand, like, some movies are really good with them. There's exceptions, of course, but, like, you want to really, you want to show more than just tell it. It's just, like, so much more interesting. And if you are going to have, like, a long block of text, you should probably break it up, and with action, with images, like, with one script I read, and I kind of, like, helped on, they were introducing this setting that they were in, but they weren't, like, actually showing it, and so, like, the characters were just kind of, like, talking, and it was just, like, you can show so much of the setting and also say the history of this place at the same time, and it cuts to the chase. It helps you do two things at once instead of just talking about it, and doing a bunch of exposition. And desire should motivate your characters to speak. So if they've been trying to say something, you know, they should be, like, trying to say something that's worth saying. So you don't want to just, like, why, like, they should be talking with a purpose. Like, they shouldn't just be talking because like, you need dialogue for that scene. Make sure that there's motivation to what they're saying, what they're, like, and why they're saying it, how they're saying it, you know. And, of course, say your dialogue out loud. It definitely is good with, you know, fleshing it out, making it sound better. If there's, you know, spell checks and editing, you know. Okay, So here are some common mistakes to avoid when writing. So as I said before, show don't tell. Like sometimes the best dialogue is no dialogue at all. Like sometimes you might have a very emotional moment, and instead of saying the character's sad, you could just have them sit there and be like look sad. Like it can be that simple. You don't have to go, I'm very sad right now. Like that's not gonna hit well. And that's not showing any. I don't know. It's just not interesting. You avoid clunky exposition. That's what I said before. Like, don't just have everything, like all the exposition and backstory and dialogue just like in one big chunk. I think the best dialogue is when it's like thrown just into like other dialogue and stuff. Like, be like, oh, instead of saying, yeah, my mom died when I was like 7 and it made me really sad. Hi, how are, like, nice to meet you. Why don't you go, like, maybe when someone else is mentioning their mom, they're like, oh man, I miss being with my mom. You know, stuff like that. And they go, oh, right, you miss your mom. I'm like, she's dead. Stuff like that. Like, that's so much, it just feels more natural. Like, I'm not a person that spills. But I mean, obviously there can be characters that just spill stuff out. But not all people do that. So you need to figure out ways to make it more natural for exposition and backstories to come out more naturally. And beware of cliches. You don't want your text to just be like a bunch of like dialogue you've heard in other movies. Like, it's not gonna be interesting to readers or like to watchers, and like you don't just want the same, you know, thing that you've heard before because you're like, oh, I really like Quentin Tarantino, so I'm gonna write all my characters like Quentin, like, you know, that they're written from those movies, you know. And also make sure all your characters have like at least some sort of distinct voice. I know that sometimes it can be easy to just fall into like your own voice, or you have like one set voice, so like everyone's gonna be passive aggressive, and you're like, God, everyone's passive aggressive, everyone's serious, everyone's trying to be sarcastic. Like, you know, it's like those, like, it's like the Wattpad like fanfic kind of thing, or like the YA novels. Like, I think Maximum Ride, like, that's all those books where like every single character was like so sarcastic and like spunky, and I was like, God, everyone has a quip. Everyone, like, again, like, and but come on, everyone. And then I have another thing. This is off Reddit. I need to join Reddit, which I never have. But like, I like this. Like, I read through a little bit of this. I don't know what to call it, channel, whatever. And it's like pretty interesting, kind of cool. But this is just a cheat sheet for like writing dialogue. Let me see. Yeah, so like dialogue can be like subtext. So like here, there. So like write a scene where a couple is buying a mattress, but they can only, like, they're only allowed to speak about the mattress, but through the subtext we learn about their marital problems. Like, oh, well, I don't like this mattress because it's a little hard and overbearing, and I just think it nags too much. You know, something like that. So here's like a list of like things. So short and simple sentences. So like one thought at a time. Include tension and purpose in every word and sentence. Like, there's no reason for dialogue in a visual format if, you know, it's not playing a purpose, basically. So generally no more than 3 interrupted sentences. Like there can be monologues. I think some of these can be, played with, some of these rules. But obviously you just don't want big chunky dialogue. It's just going to get boring. And if you are, then break it up with action. And channel your characters. Like you want to stop thinking of your own little voice in your head as a thing talking. You want to really think about the characters and how they sound, how they're like, I don't know, like, and make sure they're just like distinct characters and they're like how they like speak. Make sure you're engaging the audience, which is easier said than done. Make sure to join scenes late. So, like, don't have, like, the characters, like, every single scene be like, oh, hi, John. Hi, Mark. How's it doing? How's it going? We're at the crime scene, blah, blah, blah. Like, just be like, hey, John, and then we're at the crime scene. I don't know, just something, you don't have to enter a room and be polite all the time. And leave scenes early to cut the scene at the point of tension or drama. Allow characters to exist off stage. So reference, other characters when they're not there. Just make them feel like they're alive, I guess. Let the scene loop over in your head like 10, 20 times, silent, before placing in the dialogue to establish what needs to happen and what message you need to convey. I guess if you want to do that. Alternatively, imagine watching your scene, but in a foreign or gibberish language. What does the talking feel like? What's the emotions behind the words, blah, blah, blah. So, like, just understand the emotion of a scene and then the emotion of, like, what's happening. Even if you can't understand what they're saying, you should get what the scene is trying to convey in a way. Have your characters actually listen and engage and interrupt. So, like, don't just have, like, one character talk for a long time and then it's their turn. Like, they can interrupt. They can talk at the same time. One of my favorite, like, I haven't read the script for it, but the dialogue in Uncut Gems is, like, I don't know, it just feels like I'm watching someone's life. It feels like a documentary. And, the speaking in it is just so, like, natural, and the dialogue feels so, like, almost real, for these characters. And so, like, and all these characters are just saying things at the same time, saying things like, just, like, interrupting each other and yelling on top of each other. So, like, don't be clean cut about conversations. Like, the conversations you've been in, and you've been interrupted, sometimes, like, someone asks a question and you're like, but I'm not done my question. What? Like, think of conversations not like A, B, like, think of it more complicatedly, I guess, like, more messy. When you're finally done with the scene, go back and cut the dialogue shorter. I would just say, I mean, that's going to happen probably with most scenes and scripts. That dialogue is going to, like, shorten and stuff. So yeah, like, sometimes I don't, like, I'm not saying this is, like, something you have to do. But I think it's a good thing to practice on, trying to write shorter dialogue. And so don't avoid people saying directly what they mean. I guess that's a good, like, I don't know, like, I don't think everything needs to be super subtextual. Like, sometimes people just say what they mean. Like, sometimes people can just say it, like, especially in more younger media, animation is gonna, like, have not simplified dialogue, but obviously it's gonna be, like, at some point the character's gonna be like, oh, I'm really mad at you. They're gonna have that moment, Avoid big speeches, avoid uhs and ums. This was something that my script writing teacher told me, is that Usually you don't put uhs and ums into your dialogue because, first of all, it just takes up space and time. And you don't know how the actor's going to actually say your dialogue, so it doesn't make sense for you to have that in there. Unless it's like, I think if you have a character just going like, I don't know. I think that would make sense. But unless it's not really integral to how you're, say, like, you know, like, if it's not integral to what they're saying, then don't add it, you know. Although it's how I speak, as I said, like 50 times. And I'm gonna say it again. So, also avoid stating the obvious. Because you want to respect the audience and what they see and hear. So, the purpose of dialogue is that every line should resonate with who says it. The flavor of their background should be captured in their word choices. So, like, this is just saying, make sure the personality and, you know, the life of your character is through how they speak. Because, you know, we all have, you know, how we speak is kind of like our background. It's, you know, it's reflective of where we come from. It's reflective of if we're introverted, extroverted, if we like to speak, if we don't, you know. So like the syntax, and like the attitude, even like, you know, those wants and needs, stuff like that. So well-written dialogue moves the story forward by having the character say something that leads to something happening. And even that can be like with comedy, obviously. Yeah. Make sure you're like revealing like relationships as well. Like you can tell if a character is super close to another character or not, you know, by how they're speaking to each other, or if they're like have a strained relationship. And make sure, you know, you can entertain. I mean, entertaining the audience is also a purpose, as well. Like I think even if you're just saying like a funny line, I think, you know, that's fine. If it does, like, even if it doesn't purposely go from like a cause and effect kind of thing, like your character can just say something funny and it's just funny, you know. I don't think everything needs to be subtextual or super pushy on the plot. And now I have a video, and we might not watch it all. I haven't watched it all, but I thought it was interesting because it's like a linguistics take on it. And like it's a linguistics take on like, well, it's just like language and like how we speak, and they go through like Fargo and like the subtextual way that we speak and all that.
Language is a window into social relations. I'll begin with a puzzle in language. This one is taken from the movie Fargo, from a scene early in the movie in which a kidnapper has a hostage tied up in the back seat of a car and inconveniently is pulled over by the police because he's missing his plates. The police officer asks him to show his driver's license. He proffers his wallet with the license showing and a $50 bill extending ever so slightly. And he says to the officer, I was thinking that maybe the best thing would be to take care of it here in Brainerd, which the audience and presumably the officer recognize as a veiled bribe. Now, this is an example of what linguists call an indirect speech act. a case in which we don't blurt out what we mean in so many words, but we veil our intentions in innuendo, hoping for our listener to read between the lines and infer our real intent. And this is something that we do all the time, often without realizing it. For example, if you could pass the guacamole, that would be awesome. Now, when you think about it, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But we effortlessly recognize it as a polite request. We're counting on you to show leadership in our campaign for the future. Anyone who has sat through a fundraising dinner is familiar with euphemistic schnorring like that, which can be translated as, give us money. Would you like to come up and see my etchings? That has been recognized as a sexual come-on for so long that in the 1930s, James Thurber drew a New Yorker cartoon in which a man says to his date, you wait here and I'll bring the etchings down. Then there's a nice story you got there. It would be a real shame if something happened to it, which any viewer of The Sopranos could recognize as a veiled threat. So the puzzle is, why are bribes, requests, seductions, solicitations, and threats so often veiled when both parties presumably know exactly what they mean? Language has to do two things. It's got to convey some content, such as a bribe, a command, or a proposition. At the same time, it's got to negotiate a relationship type. The solution is to use language at two levels. The speaker uses the literal form to signal the safest relationship to the listener, while counting on the listener to read between the lines to entertain a proposition that might be incompatible with that relationship. And politeness is a simple example. What's going on with, if you could pass the guacamole, that would be awesome? I think everyone would agree that it's a bit of an overstatement. And also, it's not clear why you should be pondering counterfactual worlds right there and then at the dinner table. Now, the listener thinks, assuming that the speaker has not lost his mind, the speaker says an outcome is good, therefore he must be requesting it. The overall effect is that the intended content gets through, namely the imperative, but without the presumption of dominance that would ordinarily accompany an imperative, namely an expectation that you can be commanding some other person to do what you want. Well, according to the anthropologist Alan Fiske, there are only three major human relationship types across the world's cultures. Each prescribes a distinct way of distributing resources, each has a distinct evolutionary basis, and each applies most naturally to certain people, but can be extended through negotiation to others, and that's where language comes in. So there's dominance, as I've mentioned, whose logic is don't mess with me, and which presumably we inherited from the dominance hierarchies that are ubiquitous among primates. Very different from that is communality, the ethos share and share alike, which evolved by a different route, namely kin selection and mutualism, and therefore is extended by default to kin, to spouses, and among close friends. Finally, there's reciprocity. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, which pertains to the business-like tit-for-tat exchanges of goods and services that characterizes reciprocal altruism. Now, behavior that's acceptable in one relationship type can be anomalous in another. For example, at a drinks party, you might go over to your husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend and help yourself to a prawn off their plate. But you wouldn't go up to your boss and help yourself to a prawn off his plate, because what you can get away with in a communality relationship, you can't get away with in a dominance relationship. Likewise, at the end of a dinner party, if you pulled out your wallet and offered to pay the host for the dinner, that would not be perceived as fair, that would be perceived as crass, because of the clash between reciprocity, which is what would be appropriate, say, at a restaurant, and communality, which is what we deem appropriate among friends. Now, those are cases where everyone knows what's appropriate, but in cases where the two sides aren't sure that they're on the same wavelength, a divergent understanding can lead to an unpleasant emotion, the one that we call awkwardness. For example, there can be awkward moments in a workplace when an employee doesn't know, or a student doesn't know whether to address a supervisor by their first name or to invite them out after work for a beer because of the ambiguity as to whether their relationship is governed by dominance or friendship. It's well-known bit of wisdom that good friends should not engage in a major business transaction, like one of them selling his car to the other. The very act of negotiating a price can put a strain on the friendship, because what's appropriate in a reciprocity relationship is not appropriate in a communality relationship.
Alrighty. Now we're getting into anthropology. But it's an interesting video. But like obviously, it just details like how we talk to each other is based on, relationship, based on, different dynamics and such. So if you want to watch the rest of the video, it's on YouTube. It's through RSA. And I like their channel. Although I remember watching one of their videos. I forget when. It was in my philosophy for a film class that I took at my old school. And we watched some of their videos there. And you can learn about philosophy, all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So now we're gonna switch gears. And we're just gonna chill. We're just gonna write together. I'm gonna put on some music and we'll just write. Usually these go until like an hour and 30, maybe 9:20 ish for me. So like in like not 50, I don't know, like 40 minutes. We're right, maybe. Depends on if I get done, if obviously you guys can just leave. But I'll put on some music. Let me find Lo-Fi Girl. Hopefully I could listen to it. I always get nervous about like playing music on here.
Questions can pop up anytime, even when it's late. When you need solutions to your homework problems, think of Bartleby, our expert.
And just chill. Also, if the music is too loud, you can tell me. If it's too quiet, Alright, so I'm not working on that one. What I'm working on is a Gravity Falls spec script. And it's about how what's his name? Waddles finds an amulet, like a magical amulet, because he's been stealing stuff. And so he like Dipper and Mabel find it, and then I haven't written this in a long time. I was supposed to finish it last week when I was like, oh, I'm just gonna write for a whole week, and then I didn't. And then I realized I needed something to write for this week, because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna chill and write. And so Dipper and Mabel find it, and then they fight over, so there's like a stupid clause where twins share the 3 wishes that this magical amulet gives, and so they fight over the last one, but then Gideon finds it. But then also there's a subplot of Seuss is having like a horrible day. Dipper wants to use his wish for, Mabel uses hers to give wings to Waddles. Dipper uses his he was going to make it to make Wendy fall in love with him. But he instead, because she's like heartbroken or like sick or something, he uses it to make her feel better. And then the third wish, they were going to fight over it. But what's his name gets it, little Gideon gets it. And then he wishes for the world to be different and like or him to be in power or something. So the last place I stopped at, there's like a whole montage where they like trying to make the Mystery Shack. I don't even remember the script. It's not, obviously it's not something that I'm like super passionate about because it's not something I've written. It's not like original. But once I'm done this, if anyone wants to use it for if you are animating, if you are a story artist and you need something to board for like your portfolio, you can use this, because I know there's not just like scripts that aren't already boarded or animated already out there, or just like filmed already, because like usually you practice on, you know, already done films, or you make your own original story. So if you just want to practice doing something, I don't know. I also have my other script, which is under Zaire, and that you can also board and whatever, do whatever you want, do backgrounds for, I don't know. And I have them both on my portfolio website, which you can find on my Twitter or whatever you follow me on. So yeah, I'm open to it. And I meant to brainstorm before this class on where I was going to go after this. So I might be talking out loud a little bit. But yeah, so this is if you are just coming in, or if you're not sure what I'm rambling about. So now is just, we're just going to write together. You're going to watch me write. Hopefully that'll make you want to write or draw, finish something or work on something, make yourself feel productive. Because I suck at forcing myself to do things, especially writing. It's nerve-wracking to actually write. So we're gonna try to write. And if you have any questions about what we talked about today, or if you have questions with what you're writing right now, you can, just chat with me in the chat. It's just a chill time. I should just do it outside. Cause Dipper walk there. I'm trying to figure out. I guess I could do Wendy's house exterior, but far away. Dipper walking. This is gonna be super rough. First of all, I never really write in front of people. I feel like it's more known to draw in front of people, but writing, I think, is a little weird. Oh, that's fun. You're making a comic. That's pretty fun. I've been wanting to do comics, but I don't have that kind of mind for laying out panels. I've definitely written comics before. I've never drawn one, but someday. Like, comic artists are like, not only do you need to, I don't know, like there's like pacing, there's like, it's almost like harder than storyboarding, because it's like you have to figure out what fits on a page and how are you going to fit it on there. Down the road. Dipper. Do walks away from Wendy's home, feeling a bit defeated. Yeah. I need to change the amulet to a locket. Because, I don't know, it's supposed to be a locket. At some point, I wrote dippers, and now it wants me to always use dippers. This is going to do that. I forgot what I named, because the amulet has like a lady in it. She was like trapped in there. But I forget what her name was. Does she talk? I'm trying to remember my like just typing in. This is let me scroll up. I should have put this into scenes, which I've done with my other script. Oh, I just called her the amulet. But I got really lazy. Like I just wrote this all in like one shot. And usually with like other script programs, I'm used to just going into one long thing. What's her name? Frangelica. Fix this now. Crazy. Because I wanted to be like exhausted. But like, you know, like that crazy exhausted, like he definitely needs to sleep. Or like he's like not like wired. Maybe let's describe him. He had crazy look. Yeah, but then it says it was ours. And sometimes Scrivenger, like, I don't know, sometimes the things get messed up, like the keys or whatever. I don't know, why is it so like messed up? It does not want to go down. Ugh, there it is. Oh, yeah. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming. I'll probably end this in like 20 minutes or so. I'm trying to figure out how we would get it from I'm kind of eating dinner too, I have spicy ramen from the local ramen place that I have been putting off eating because I'll know I'll slurp into the mic. It'll be bad. And, you know, it isn't that kind of stream. We're not mukbanging today. Oh, thank you also for the videos that are in the chat. And thank you for people who were leaving and, you know, and came. It's always nice to have people in the chat participating. Makes me feel less alone just talking to myself in my room. Alright, I'll try slurping. You will hear me. I definitely I'm a loud slurper. Oh, and it's like spicy ramen. But now it's like a little cold, so it's like spicy. Yeah. Maybe. So. Oh, now I remember what I was saying. Purple to amulet over. I'm thinking. I haven't watched The World End yet. I should maybe in like some of the next classes I'll like try analyzing scripts and maybe we can go over like looking at beats. But anyways, I'm trying to think. I kind of want Maple to just like also just like fall out of nowhere and just be in the scene. I kind of want her just to be like just like out of nowhere, just like scream Dipper and then fall out of a tree. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it, and then if I hate it, I'll write it later. Or write it out at least. By the way, OS means off screen. So if I ever see that, that just means off screen. I haven't watched like Gravity Falls in like years, and I keep like forgetting it came out like 5 years ago. Like I forgot that I was in high school when it was like on, and it's still like super weird to me. Like I was like, no, it just came out yesterday. Like it just ended like a year ago. What are you talking about? And like I haven't watched all the episodes, so like it's probably a bad idea that I'm writing like a script that I haven't, for a show that I haven't really analyzed enough. But I have a good memory, I think. I think he should float down because he has his wings. So she wished for him to have wings. So I guess it would make sense if he flies down from the tree and lands on Mabel's lap. I need to make this a parentheses. I'll do off screen, so then it's revealed that he has it now. Or maybe I'll do off screen and begins to maniacally laugh. Look over at him, and his little baby hand is the amulet. forget, I don't know, like little Gideon once, I forget what like his main motivation was in the show. I think it was to like I don't know if did he want world domination? Did he want, it wasn't just that he wanted, I guess I'll just put, finally, yes, finally, I can have all that I have ever wanted. I'll say the twins. I just go, no. I kind of want to, should he rule the world? I think he should just rule, should he rule Gravity Falls? Or should he just say, I wish for everything? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Yeah. Magical amulet of, I forget what her full title was. It was like Frangelica something the Great, I don't know. She was a duchess. The Grand Duchess Frangelica. The magical amulet of Grand Duchess Frangelica. I wish for everything to be mine. That's a little broad. I work in specifics. Do you want to copyright everything in the world? Do you want, this is kind of dumb, do you want to, name brand data on everything? Like, I want to be a master of the universe. What were you thinking for my wish? And let's start with we were all Gravity Falls and making on your subject. And we can go from there. Look again. Strokes his chin and thinks. Alright. Magical amulet. I wish to rule over all of Gravity Falls and every stupid little person who lives here. Lightning crackles, the wind blows hard. The wind. After this line, I think I'll be done. Lightning crackles. The wind whips. The sky turns red. And then the twins. No. Everything. Good. Do that. And then commercial cut. Then they'll wake up and then they're in a new place. Like a new, universe, whatever. Alrighty. I think that's all I'm gonna do for now. So thanks for coming. I really hope that the people that stayed and, we're able to work on something. And if you enjoyed this format, if you want me to just do, sporadic writing sessions or, just creative hours or 30 minutes, whatever, just during the week or weekends or something, that don't have to be through open animation. It can just be my own thing on Twitter, and I'll just be like, hey, I'm here, writing, come write with me or something. So thanks for coming, and we'll be back in March. I'm looking at my calendar on the 3rd, March 3rd. So thanks for joining. Thank you for coming. I always enjoy looking at the chat, chatting with you all. And I'll post this on probably either tonight or probably most likely tomorrow. So thank you, and bye.